my if my voice is not audible, then please inform me. Hello everyone. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
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 ma'am.
ma'am.
Continue.
Okay,
I will communicate. I will moderate.
okay. Thank you, sir. Now, welcome all my dear students. Now, this is the lecture of on neural network. Okay, myself and Phadkule sir have done many work in this area, that neural network. So now we are going to see, or we are going to learn step by step. Rather, together we will learn what is neural network. Actually, this neural network, it is biological inspiration means, if you think of our brain, then brain have basically three components: dendrites, cell body, and axon. It is biological inspiration. This neurobiology, that means neural network, this comes from neurobiology, because the brain consists of large number of highly connected elements, and this is called as neurons.
I
The,
started recording.
yes, I have started recording. These neurons
Okay.
have three principal components: the dendrites, the cell body, and the axon. Look, you can see on our PPT or on slide on your screen, you can see this is dendrites, and this axon. Axon is called as our electrical, that wire. If you consider, if you think of wire, that wire, electrical wire, the wire carries the electric current. Like that, that axons carries the signal. While this cell body, a cell body in our brain, or that neurons, it is cell body where all the functions carried out. And this synapse, you can see this is synapse. Here the synapse is a connection of one neuron to the another. One neuron is connected with the another. And dendrites means, dendrites, it we are collecting information from the dendrites, and these dendrites are connected with the synapse, and this synapse is again connected with the other dendrites, and then it is carried, the signal is carried through the axon to the other cell body. This is our brain, our biological structure of neuron. Same structure will apply, or it is applicable in our artificial neural network. Okay, as I told, the dendrites are tree like receptive network of nerve fibers that carry electrical signal. That means these axons carry the electrical signals, whatever the signals. Because when we are considering our brain, if I put a hand on a fire, definitely the brain gives the signal and will immediately remove our hand from the fire. Okay, sir, please admit, I think someone is in queue. Can you
Okay.
admit? So that axon.
I'm not admin.
Okay. I had to admit. Okay. Okay. Presentation is visible, na? So I will go like this.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what at what point we are thinking about, when our hand is on fire, immediately we remove our hand, because the brain gives signal to the hand that there is a fire or there is something hot, so we have to remove the hand. Like that, that signal they get activated from the brain. Okay, so the neurons having that capacity, at certain point, at certain threshold, it gives signal at certain point, because within 3 seconds we remove the hand. During first second we are not able to capture that fire. Second and third, at third second we remove our hand from the fire. That means that 3 seconds we call it as a threshold. Okay, so this all functions, or all, everything we carry it in the in that cell body. The cell body effectively sums and thresholds this incoming signals. Okay, now definitely this is again biological inspiration. As I told, the point of contact between axon of one cell and the dendrites of the other cell is called as synapse. This already I have explained. This biological inspiration, when I will give some examples of this biological inspiration, why Albert Einstein is different from us, because we can see that we have something that we have even thought, or we have read that the Albert Einstein brain is stored somewhere, how it works, how fast it does the calculation, how fast he can do the calculation by two hands, like that. This we have heard. Okay, so that means by birth his neurons get inspired like that. Okay, that means it is, we can call it is a God gift, and some we develop by learnings. Means this Albert Einstein is the example of by birth it is God gifted, but by Lata Didi, and when we consider the PT Usha is normal, is our normal people or normal human being, but she developed the ability to learn, and that's why their neurons work in that way, and that's why she can win the matches. Okay, so that means some are developed by birth and some we have to develop by learning. In the same way, our artificial neural network developed by learning. Okay, so we'll see. This is one example. Suppose a small kid is there. He or she doesn't know what is the different element, be from by birth, or from in the first standard, in the second standard, or from early stage. We tell him or her that this is frog, this is lion, this is bird. Okay, he asked the question, then we tell him or her that this is fire, lion. That means his brain work according to the training. Why I am telling that? The training goes on in his brain, and that's why he learns, he captures that thing, and then he recognizes whenever he see the bird like that, then he will say it is a bird. When he see lion or tiger, then he will recognize this is lion and this is tiger. When he see frog or crocodile, then he can differentiate between frog and crocodile. Okay, that means he learns. That means we are giving training to him, like that our artificial neural network works. Both are similar. Okay, now in artificial neural network, you got concept of biological neuron. Hello.
Yes, continue. They will not answer.
Why?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to answer, na. Otherwise, I will not get inspiration. You have to answer. If not possible, you can write in chat box. Sir can see. Okay. So now this is physical neuron. Okay. In artificial neural, a physical neuron, what input is there? Okay. And input, this I told, dendrites is our input, and synapse. Where synapse means that input is collectively summed up in that in terms of weight. Okay, whatever input is there, that gets summed up. Okay, and that total is given to the nucleus, or it is called as cell body. And in cell body we have some threshold or summation function, and then it gives output. Okay, this is definition. I think definition no need to tell. Still I will read. Data processing system. Definition of artificial neural network: data processing system consisting of large number of simply highly interconnected processing elements called as artificial neurons in an architecture inspired by structure of a cerebral cortex of a brain. Okay, now we are, up till now we are discussed about the biological neuron. Now will come to the artificial neuron. This is dendrites, this is summation network. In summation network we have threshold, and axon, it is output. That output, it is given to the second neuron. Okay, model of neuron. Suppose x1, x2, x3 is input. This w1, w8, w2, wc is connection weight. This input get multiplied with the weight, and here summation is performed. in this nucleus it is called as soma. In soma or in nucleus, this summation get carried out, and then we'll get output, and that output is carried through axon. Okay, now single input neuron. Suppose input is P, weight is W. What is weight? This input is information that we collect, and weight is that knowledge in that information. Some inputs are waste inputs and some input have some knowledge. Okay, so that W is called as knowledge. Okay, W is called as weight and it contains knowledge. Okay, so P is input, W is weight. Okay, now in summation, the neuron output is calculated as A is equal to function of WP plus B. WP means W multiplied by P, plus B means B indicate some bias. I will tell what this bias is. Okay, then this is N. This N is input to the function F. This function F is called as transfer function, or it is called transfer function or sigmoid function, activation function. We call it as a activation function. A is output. The actual output depends on the particular transfer function that is chosen. Okay, so A is function of WP plus B. W is weight, P is input, B is bias, N is input to the transfer function, and A is output of transfer function or output of activation function. Okay, the scalar input P is multiplied, that already I have told. The scalar input P is multiplied by scalar weight W to form WP. One of the term is sent to the summer. Okay, here one term is from WP and other term for bias. The other output, one is multiplied by bias B and then passed to the summer. The summer output N often referred to as net input goes to the transfer function, which produces the scalar neuron output A. This already I have told. A is actual output. This F is our activation function and F is transfer function. Some books refer that F as activation function and some book refer it as a transfer function, while some book refers that bias B, some books refer this bias as bias, and or some refer it as offset. Both terms are similar terms. Don't get confused in this. Okay, this already we have seen. Weight, the weight W correspond to the strength of synapse. That means W correspond the strength of synapse correlate with the biological neuron. Okay, the weight. In this W and why this neural network? Why everyone is talking about neural network? Because here W1 you have seen it is a function of A. Output is function of WP plus B. WP will go back. Okay, A is output is function of WP plus B. Okay, WP, what this W? I told this W is weight, and this weight carries knowledge. Okay, if we change that knowledge, if we change that weight, definitely our output changes. The output is not same as previous. Okay, coming back to our point, if a child is there, if we have ant and if we have two similar suppose I will take one example of ant and what you call them, ant and bigger ant, black ant and white ant, black ant and red ant. Then for him the ant is ant, but then there we have to categorize it is red ant and it is black ant. That means that knowledge, extra knowledge we have to provide. Okay, same here, and according to that his or her brain will change. Okay, so that means the adjustable W and B, weight and bias, are adjustable parameter of the neurons. and depending upon that the transfer function changes, and this transfer function is chosen by the designer what type of output we want. Generally the output which we want is from 0 to 1, that means it should be scale between 0 to 1. Okay, so we have different activation function that we'll see later on, but and that learning rate W and P will be adjusted by some learning rule, that also we will see, but just now for simplicity or for as it is an introduction lecture or starting, so we will just see what is neural network. Okay, now these require input data. From where input data? Now we are coming to our artificial neural network. So what is input data? It's a number that we have recorded in the real world or somewhere. That number is called as our input data. It is usually sometimes that is easily knowable, like suppose today's temperature or strike rate of, and now our matches are going on, so strike rate of batsman or yesterday's stock price. Okay, so that means these values are this value you can know. This is real world data. Okay, this data is given to the neural network. Okay, so that is our input data. Any question? Hello? No. Okay. If you face any problem, you can tell me. Acha. Now, how this neural network works? Based on the input, it produces some output. Based on the input, it produces some output. That means that output we call it as a prediction from that input. Whether that prediction is always correct? No, it may be correct or it may not be correct. What is prediction? A prediction is what neural network tells us given our input data, such as given temperature. What is the given temperature? Whether people will wear a sweatsuit today or not, whether cricket players batting rate, whether the match will win or not, or yesterday's stock, what is the today's stock price, whether what will the tomorrow's stock price. Okay, so that means based on initial data, based on our previous data, based on our training data, the neural network will give some predictions based on our data. Okay, that means we are going to train our neural network and then it will provide some predictions. Okay, is this prediction always right? No, sometimes our neural network will make mistakes, but it can learn from them. How it will learn from them is it will change the weight and biases. By changing the weight and biases, it will reach to the output, whether that output is near to the actual output or it may vary. If it varies, then we have to again change it. Okay, how does neural network work? It works by only trial and error. Why trial and error? Because we are changing weight and biases. Okay, now coming back, now here you will learn or you will understood how neural network works. Okay, this neuron, you can see this is one circle is there, green circle is there, where 3 inputs are given. This neuron is having 3 inputs. This neuron is having 3 inputs and 1 output. Now at this stage, consider neuron that holds a number. Initial stage will consider, means very raw stage, will consider neuron is the thing that holds some number, because it is game of numbers. So we will think at this stage that it is a number. We'll see later on, we will discuss what it is. Okay, so neuron, it have 3 inputs. These neurons have 3 inputs, 1, 2, 3 and 1 output. At this stage, this neuron is, will see thing that holds a number. Okay, now suppose 3 inputs are there and these 0.6, 0.1 and minus 0.8 are weight of that input. Okay, we have seen I told you. I told what is weight. Weight is the information it carries. Okay. This weight is knowledge that neural network carries. Okay, 0.6, 0.1, 0.8. Okay. Now suppose this 0.3, 0.4 and 0.9 is our input. So we will multiply 0.3 into 0.6. That means W into P. W into P. You remember I told this is A is equal to function of WP plus B. So W into P. Weight is suppose 3, P is 2, B is minus 1.5. Then A is F of 3 into 2 minus 1.5 is equal to function of 4.5. Similarly, that means here weight we have considered as a 3, input is 2, that means 3 into 2 6, B is 1.5, it is minus 1.5, so F is 4.5, function of 4.5, and this is our activation function, and we will get output according to it. So here we have multiplied W, this W into P. Okay, then add bias we added, it is 1.2. we will get, if you can calculate, we will get 0.58 in this neuron. I told neuron is a thing that holds a number. Okay, so minus 0.58 is some number we got by calculation, a very simple raw stage calculation. The number inside the neuron is called as activation. Why it is called as activation? Why it is called as activation? Because it will activate our next cell based on threshold. Based on the threshold, that threshold we can set. That we'll see. Okay, so this 0.58 comes out to our output. Our output means this output is again connected to the next neuron. So it is called as activation. Okay, this is called as activation. Output as minus 0.58. You got how you understood how you got minus 0.58? Understood? Yes or no? Anyone? Are? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Understood, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubt, please ask, because I am even though I am at long distance, but it's my wish to teach you, and you should understand what this is. So I am teaching by heart, so definitely you should respond. Okay?
Yes.
Okay? Because I will feel better, ना? है ना? अगर हम बोलते रहेंगे, मैं ही अकेली बोलती रहूँगी, इट विल वन वे कम्युनिकेशन. आप बोलेंगे तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगेगा, आई विल फील बेटर. ओके, समझ में आया आपको? जी.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, थैंक यू बेटा, थैंक यू. अच्छा, अभी देखो, यहाँ पे हमने तो अभी तक एक ही न्यूरॉन कंसिडर किया है ना. वी हैव कंसिडर ओनली वन न्यूरॉन. अभी हियर in this we have considered number of neurons, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. In input we have 10 neurons. Now can you tell me in second layer how many neurons? Count and tell. जल्दी बताओ. बताओ.
It's 14, ma'am.
14.
Correct. That means we have input layer, we have hidden layer, we have output layer. So one is input layer, 3 are hidden layers and one is output layer. है ना? तो ऐसा स्ट्रक्चर हमारे ब्रेन में भी होता है. वी हैव दिस स्ट्रक्चर इन आवर ब्रेन. ओके, अभी तक हमने देखा था कि एक न्यूरॉन क्या करता है। अभी न्यूरॉन के कनेक्शन देखो कैसे है। ये एक न्यूरॉन का कनेक्शन फर्स्ट न्यूरॉन को भी है, सेकंड लेयर हिडन लेयर के पहले न्यूरॉन को है, और इसका कनेक्शन इसका कनेक्शन फिर दूसरे न्यूरॉन का भी कनेक्शन फर्स्ट लेयर को है, तीसरे न्यूरॉन का भी कनेक्शन फर्स्ट लेयर को है। मीन्स दिस सेकंड लेयर न्यूरॉन ऑफ सेकंड लेयर they have input from all 10 neurons of first layer. Second neuron have input from all second layers. That means how complex structure it is. Every neuron is interconnected with each other. So why this is called as hidden layer? Because it is inside. And if we are considering a hidden layer in the neural network, then it goes in the deep learning. तो अभी तो हम फिलहाल हम न्यूरल नेटवर्क ही देखेंगे, बाद में हम देखेंगे धीरे धीरे, है ना। इनपुट लेयर, अभी इनपुट लेयर तो ये है हिडन लेयर 1 2 3 हिडन लेयर एंड देन आउटपुट लेयर. ओके, नाउ first layer of 784 neurons consisting of 28 by 28 pixel and 16 न्यूरॉन्स इन द सेकंड हिडन. अच्छा, इसमें अभी देखो, इसमें 16 होंगे 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. अर्लियर 14 थे, अभी यहाँ पे मैंने कितने लिए हैं? 16 लिए हैं. ओके, यहाँ पे 784 इनिशियल न्यूरॉन्स है. कितने? फर्स्ट लेयर ऑफ 784. हमारे पहले इसमें ओनली 10 थे, 0 to 9. अच्छा, when we are working with Python, we will consider 0 as first. 0 to 9 will be our 10. Okay, so in this first layer we have 784 neurons. अच्छा, अब इसमें कितने hidden layers है? How many hidden layers are in this? बताओ, hidden layer कितने दिख रहे हैं? बताओ. हेलो, वेरी गुड. अरे ये तो सर की आवाज़ है. स्टूडेंट, हेलो स्टूडेंट, बताओ, एक्सपेक्टेड फ्रॉम यू. बताओ जल्दी, है या नहीं? बच्चे है या नहीं?
यस मैम.
तो बताओ कितने लेयर है
मैम.
है तो बताओ. मैंने क्या सवाल पूछा? कितने हिडन लेयर्स है?
One is input layer, one is output layer. In between there are 2 layers. That's why answer is 2.
आपको समझ में आया क्या
Okay.
स्टूडेंट्स?
Okay, we'll go ahead.
आ गया ना सब बच्चों को समझ में? देखो, दिस इज आवर फर्स्ट लेयर, इनपुट लेयर इज आवर फर्स्ट लेयर, दिस इज आवर आउटपुट लेयर. जहाँ पे यहाँ पे लिखा है ना 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, ये है आउटपुट लेयर. अभी अर्लियर स्टेज में देखो, इनपुट लेयर, हिडन लेयर, आउटपुट लेयर. मैंने बताया था ये इनपुट लेयर है, ये आउटपुट लेयर है, ये 3 हिडन लेयर्स है. ओके, 3 हिडन लेयर्स. अभी यहाँ पे कितने हिडन लेयर्स होंगे फिर? 2 हिडन लेयर्स होंगे. दिस इज आउटपुट लेयर, दिस 784 इज इनपुट लेयर. ठीक है. अब पिक्सल वैल्यू कितनी आएंगी? 28 by 28, सो 784. ओके, अभी हम ये बाद में देखेंगे, ये इसका तो अभी आपको काम नहीं है, फिर भी ठीक है. वी हैव सपोज 1 डिजिट 28 by 20, सो 784 पिक्सल वैल्यूज़. 784 मतलब इतना लंबा. वन इमेज कंटेंट 784 वैल्यूज़. ओके, वन इमेज कंटेंट 784 वैल्यूज़. अच्छा, इतना कोई कुछ काम का नहीं. ठीक है. ओके, विल कम बैक टू आवर पॉइंट यहाँ से. ओके, 784 वी हैव 784 इन न्यूरॉन्स इन फर्स्ट लेयर. इनिशियली वी हैव कंसिडर ओनली 1. अच्छा, वो 1 जो हमने कंसिडर किया था, उसको क्या किया हमने? ये 1 को 3 इनपुट दिए, है ना. ये 1 न्यूरॉन को हमने 3 इनपुट दिए. अब वो 3 इनपुट देने के बाद में उसको हमने इनपुट वेट से मल्टीप्लाई किया, उसमें बायस ऐड किया और आउटपुट लिया. ये एक न्यूरॉन की बात है. दिस इज ऑफ 1 न्यूरॉन. ओके, नाउ here we have to consider for 784 neurons. Okay, so this is our second layer neuron. Second layer means hidden layer neurons. This is connected with all neurons. This is connected with the all neurons. So weight of this is weight of first neuron and input from the first neuron, that is W1 into A1. This is for first neuron. Then W2 into A2 of second neuron. W3 into A3 of third neuron from the input layer. W4 into A4 for the fourth layer. Likewise WN into AN आखिरी तक. ओके, तो इसके वेट्स जो दिए हैं यहाँ पे दिए हैं. Connection between our neuron and the neurons of the first layer. This is assigned value. This we have to multiply. Input A is input, W is weight. That we have to multiply it, and that we have to sum up. This all we have summed up. Okay. When we sum up, when you compute a weighted sum, why the name given as weighted sum? Can you tell? Anyone? Weighted sum इसको क्यों, why we are telling it is as weighted sum? I am repeating. I am just showing you why it is called as weighted sum. Look here, this slide shows weight multiplied by input and then I add bias. Okay, so that's why it is called as weighted sum. Weighted sum means weight is multiplied with the input, we have to add bias, and that we have summed up. Okay, now when we do this, when you compute a weighted sum like this, you might come out of any number. अब whenever you will do like this, जब हम ऐसा कर लेंगे तो we will come up with some number, some digits. Okay, that may be from 0 to infinity, minus infinity to plus infinity. That number we don't know. Okay, so what we want, because that is too big or too small. Minus infinity is too small, infinity is too high. So what we have to do, we have to apply activation function. So activation should be in the range 0 to 1. What this activation function do? This activation function squeezes means it compresses the value in between 0 and 1. A common function that does this is called as sigmoid function. Common function that does this is called as sigmoid function. So activation function, हम इसको, why we are telling it as activation function? Because it squeezes value between 0 and 1. It squeezes value between 0 and 1. It compresses the value between 0 and 1. Okay, and then we'll get some number 0 to 1, and based on that we'll activate the output. So it is called as activating function, it is called as transfer function. Generally we are using sigmoid function. We are having many transfer function, many activation function, but sigmoid function is widely used. Okay, this is our sigmoid function. What this activation function do? Basically, very negative input ends up to 0, positive input ends up to 1. That means it and it just steadily increases around the input 0. Sigmoid function is represented as sigma of s is equal to 1 upon 1 plus e raised to power minus x. It is called as logistic curve. Sigmoid specification function, it is called as activation function, logistic curve or sigmoid specification function. Okay, now in this we are adding bias for inactivity. I told you, you have to answer me. I will move out of slide and I will come back to Google Meet. Now you tell me, what is activation function? Yogita, Osin, Apurva, Prasad, Yashashri, others, Gauri, Preeti, Prasad, Reva, Sakshi, Sanika, Yashashri, Yogita. What is activation function? Hello. अरे बोलेंगे नहीं तो मैं आगे कैसे जाऊंगी, बोलना पड़ेगा ना। मेरी आवाज़ सुनाई नहीं दे रही क्या आपको? हेलो।
दे रही है मैम।
हाँ तो बताइए, तो समझ में आया या मैं फिर से बताऊँ? समझ में आया क्या? एक्टिवेशन, मैंने सवाल पूछा, व्हाट इज एक्टिवेशन फंक्शन, व्हाट इज द यूज ऑफ एक्टिवेशन, एक्टिवेशन फंक्शन करता क्या है, बताओ। रिपीट करूँ?
यस मैम।
रिपीट करूँ? अच्छा, क्या नहीं समझा इसमें बताओ।
हाँ मैम, करो रिपीट।
अच्छा रिपीट करो, ओके। कहाँ से रिपीट करूँ बताओ? ये समझ में आया, वेट मल्टीप्लाइड बाय बायस। हेलो, वेट मल्टीप्लाइड बाय इनपुट प्लस ऐड बायस, ये समझ में आया क्या? हेलो।
यस मैम।
देखो मैं पहले से बताती हूँ आपको अभी। आई थिंक इसमें तो कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं। न्यूरॉन क्या है ये आपको बोलना पड़ेगा, आप मैं समझ में आएगा मुझे। ये समझ में आया, ये 0.3 इनपुट है, 0.6 वेट है, इसको हमने मल्टीप्लाई किया, ये समझ में आया क्या? हेलो। हाँ ठीक है। अब उसमें हमने बायस ऐड किया, फिर वो एक्टिवेशन फंक्शन, ये 0.5 हो गया हमारा एक्टिवेशन। तो एक्टिवेशन फंक्शन क्या, हमको क्या नंबर मिला? 0.58 नंबर मिला। अब 0.58 इट इज़ माइनस 0.58 है, तो इज इट बिटवीन 0 और 1? 0 और 1 के बीच में है क्या ये? बोलो। हेलो। ये जो एक्टिवेशन, ये जो हमको नंबर मिला माइनस 0.58, ये 0 और 1 के बीच में है क्या? हाँ या ना? अरे रिपीट कर रही हूँ मैं, फिर भी बोल नहीं रहे हो, ऐसे कैसे चलेगा? एक्टिवेशन फंक्शन क्या है? एक्टिवेशन फंक्शन क्या करता, जो भी वैल्यू आई है हमारी फ्रॉम माइनस इन्फिनिटी टू प्लस इन्फिनिटी, इसको 0 to 1 के बीच में स्क्वीज करता, कॉम्प्रेस करता। ठीक है, जाने दो, आप बोल ही नहीं रहे तो मैं बोल ही नहीं सकती मैं कुछ। हेलो। ठीक है। अच्छा, अब इसमें हमको क्या, ये बायस फॉर इन एक्टिविटी, अब इसमें हम क्या ऐड करते हैं? बायस। क्यों ऐड करते हैं हम बायस? व्हाट हैपन्स when we are getting some output, when we are getting some function, some value at the neurons, at neuron output, in the neuron, okay, that value is between that value from minus infinity to plus infinity. We apply activation function and then it will give value in terms of 0 and 1, okay. But sometimes we want to activate our neuron at certain value, so we add that value as a bias, okay. Maybe you only want it to be active when the sum is bigger than 10, so I can add 10 as a bias, okay. That means the next neuron will get activated. Suppose किसी को एक्टिवेट, मतलब किसी का थ्रेशोल्ड, अगर थ्रेशोल्ड वैल्यू है, थ्रेशोल्ड वैल्यू के ऊपर सब, पानी का ग्लास है, पानी के ग्लास में अगर हमने पानी डाला, वो पानी कब बाहर आएगा? जब पूरा पानी भर जाएगा तब ये वो पानी ग्लास के बाहर आएगा, है ना। तो थ्रेशोल्ड क्या है? वो अप टू द टॉप ऑफ दैट ग्लास, ओके। सो दैट मीन्स दैट थ्रेशोल्ड वी हैव टू ऐड, and that is called as bias, and it is for inactivity. Below bias, the next neuron will not activate, the function will not activate, okay. So this is our sigmoid this neuron second layer, first neuron, a0 of 0, a1 of 0, this all is zeroth layer is our input layer, this is our hidden layer. Now we have to organize all the activation from one layer into the column as a vector. Okay, and we have to take the sigmoid of it. Sigmoid means activation function, or we have to take transfer function. So we have arranged all this in column vectors. Okay, and we have added bias. Then final step, wrap sigmoid function around the outside layer. Okay, we have to apply sigmoid function to each and every neurons. Each and every neurons means we have, this is our first neuron where I have point out my arrow. Okay, first neuron. We have to apply sigmoid to the second neuron. We have to apply sigmoid to the third neuron. We have to apply sigmoid to the fourth layer, fifth and sixth. That means to each neuron we have to apply sigmoid function. Sigmoid function means activation function. Activation function is necessary function. So we have to apply each for each neurons. Okay, and then completely we have to wrap up. Okay, here combined link we have taken sigmoid function to each specific component of the resulting vector inside. Now next neuron, next layer neuron we are getting a of 1. It is sigmoid of WA0 plus B. W is weight, A is input. A of 0 means A of 0, A1 of 0, A2 of 0, A3 of 0, A4 of 0, A5 of 0. And इसमें के जो neurons आएंगे in second layer और hidden layer we are getting A0 of 1, A1 of 1, A2 of 1, here 1. अगर बीच में और hidden layer है तो A0 of 2, A1 of 2, ऐसे hidden, this is first hidden layer, then second hidden layer, ऐसे वो आगे बढ़ते जाएगा. Okay, now this is our final. So now up till now we have considered that neuron is only a number, but it is not a number. We came to one final conclusion that neuron is not a number, it is a function, because it carries sigmoid function, activation function. So it squeezes the values in between 0 and 1, it compresses the value. So it is not a simple number. It is it has some functions, because we perform summation there, we apply sigmoid function, we apply threshold there. So neuron is a function, not a number. So now here 784 neurons in the first layer, 16 neurons in the second layer, hidden layer, again 16 neurons in the second hidden layer, and 10 neurons in the output layer. So 784 into 16 plus 16 into 16 plus 16 into 10. These was calculation plus 16 plus 16 plus 16. This is 16 plus 16 plus 16. Here is no bias. So these much biases we have to add. So 13,002 calculations we have to do. Calculations means these many numbers we have to there, and finding right weight and biases from all these numbers, this is very complex job, and for this we require a computer. Getting the computer to find a valid settings for all these. Okay, like this our neural network works. Now here I will stop, because I think this you have understood. This will start in the next lecture. We have completed 39 slides. I will stop recording. First I will stop. Let me come back to the Google Meet. Sir, what should we do? Hello? Hello? Hello?